into that, that symphonic psychedelic arrangement mode, and he said, wow, this tune would be amazing, slow down. He looked at me and he said, go to work, So I came up with this concept, with this thematic kind of thing. Vinny had this incredible, introduction raga lick. And Carmine and Tim, we were playing at a place called Ongano's, which was another discotheque uptown on the west side of New York. And we just started putting all the pieces together, and we knew we had something special. It just came together. And we started playing it, and the club owners used to throw us out because they couldn't dance to our music. And we just stuck to our guns, and before you knew it, they started sitting down and just checking us out like a show band. And that's kind of like one of the beginnings of Vanilla Fudge, those thematic things. So.
Talk about Led Zeppelin, because they opened for you guys, like the first 50 shows, or for the first couple of years. Tell me about Led Zeppelin being your opening act.
Led Zeppelin opened for us. We had great management, great people behind the scenes supporting us. And they came over, we were label mates, yes. And Zepp came over and they wanted to get on a tour, and our people set it up to let them get on the tour and open up for us. And that's how we got started. We went up to, me and Mark went up to the hotel. Robert Plant came over here with a suitcase full of records. Remember that? Yeah. We went up to the hotel. They were all of us. It was like, a wonderful thing. But, at that time we were looking to take a little break, which we did. In 70, and they started taking off, and all the business people got behind them, and they took off, as they should have been, soared to be the biggest band in the world, if I may say, for a while. And still, even today, right? By the way, right in that corner, hey, dig it, if anybody hasn't hip to it, we're passing Cuba. All right?
Anybody want to get off?
This mic, here we go. And something for you, Mickey. When you said the crowds ran towards you, remember? Okay, that happened to me in Japan in 1990. In 1991, we went over to Japan to play Tokyo. And the last day of the tour, I came out of the hotel. I went up to one of these shrines that they had across from the hotel. And I came out of the hotel, and there's all these people waiting on lines. I'm going, geez, what's going on here? So I'm walking down the street, next thing I turn around, they're all running towards me. And I go, what's going on? Same thing like you. And sure enough, they were coming after me to sign autographs, all right? So anyway, that's where that's
it. My name is Henry Smith, and I've been with the Yardbirds since '66. I was with Led Zeppelin when we played with these guys. I went from the Yardbirds to Zeppelin. There was a show that we did with this group when I was with Jeff Beck in Singer Bowl on Long Island. And at that time, Jeff had Rod Stewart, Tony Newman, Ronnie Wood, and Jeff. Yeah, but I don't think Mickey was with us on that show. But the point of the story is the guys from Zeppelin showed up because Jeff was playing and these guys were playing. And everybody got pretty wasted on drink. At the end of the show, we were doing Jailhouse Rock. And the band's out there playing away, having a great time. Well, Bonzo comes out and I think takes your kit. On your kit, which was center stage, and he's playing away. Well, I'm standing there, and Steve Weiss, who I think was your manager at the time, was your lawyer, Steve Weiss. And he was also the lawyer for Zeppelin. Everybody that came into New York, Hendrix, just about everybody in those days. Well, Bonzo's sitting there, and he's taking his shirt off, and I'm going, oh, Jesus. A couple of minutes later, the shoes are off. Then the pants come off. And they've got guys out there with spotlights, and they're shining on him, and Steve Weiss is yelling at me, get him off the stage. And he wasn't an easy guy to move around. I've got Bonzo like in a full Nelson, and I'm dragging him there's a few policemen over here, like this. Peter Grant is digging in his pocket like this, and that was it.
So the end of that story is, my mother and father were at that show. Okay? So my mother comes up after the show and says, "Why did he take his clothes off?" I said, "I don't know." But I have an autobiography out that has that story in it. And it was quite an amazing thing. And back in those days, I helped John Bonzo get his Ludwig endorsement. And I remember calling up Ludwig saying, "I think these guys are going to be big." And now I say it's an understatement of 5 decades. Instead of huge, as we all know. Yeah, but it was a great tour. We had a good time with them. We all became good friends. One other quick thing. I remember we were walking down Santa Monica Boulevard, and I was telling Robert Plant he should move around more.
I told Paige to get bigger riffs.
Pete, anything?
I wasn't there. We really could have used the chair. Let's talk to the Yardbirds because you guys, unbelievable band, legendary super group, and we're so honored to have you on the Flower Power Cruise. Jim, because you came in the British invasion, and we had that chat earlier with Mickey and with Mr. Asher. Talk to us about the music scene. What were you hearing from the rock and roll in America back in '63? Probably the Elvis and that lot.
Well, originally it was the rock and roll, yeah. Elvis and the Crickets and Buddy Holly and Everly Brothers.
So was everybody in England really affected by Elvis and Buddy Holly? And it seems like a lot of the same.
Yeah, it was big.
All the big artists.
But everything changed about 1963 when we heard R&B. That was R&B was like Jimmy Reed, Howlin' Wolf, Chuck Berry, and all that stuff. And that was like a whole new thing altogether. And the Beatles were sort of doing that, but I think the Yardbirds and the Stones and the Kinks and Pretty Things. We were all from the south. The Beatles from the north, Liverpool, and we were all from London. And we sort of we based our repertoire on about 6 albums. A Howlin' Wolf album, Chuck Berry one.
And you were all covers, basically.
Yeah, they were all covers. Yeah, we didn't do our own songs.
Right. So, but because you were in London, it was a pretty cosmopolitan area with all the theater and shops and Broadway, and not Broadway, but I mean theater and music. Did you feel like you were already in a big enough place, or were you interested in coming to America?
Oh, it was the dream for us.
Yes.
It was for English kids, America is what we saw in the movies. We saw westerns and we saw gangster movies, It was a dream. We were living in sort of foggy old London,
It's changed a little bit.
Yeah, it's changed. It's changed a lot.
Yeah, well, you'll get to see it pretty
But
soon.
in those days, that was the dream, and to be part of that was fantastic.
So, can anybody speak to what it was like when you first came to America and you looked up at all the buildings and you really had your first...
Yeah. I remember sharing a hotel room with Jeff Beck. We were on the 30th floor in New York, and he was saying to me, "God, look at all those cars, all those fantastic cars," because he was a car freak. Yeah. And then we got to Hollywood, and wow, all the Beach Boys and all that stuff.
So did you guys get into music because you loved music or you wanted to be a rock star? John Lennon always said, "I went and saw Elvis and all the girls screamed when he came on the screen," and I said, "That's a good job." So was that for you too?
No, I think it was just the excitement of that sort of music. We called it R&B, but it's sort of blues really, isn't it? And we just loved that sort of edge, that rawness to it, and that sort of fantastic feeling,
Did you feel a competition with American bands? Did you feel like they're our competition, or we're all going to do great with this new music?
Well, they were all
Helpful. I mean, it was a healthy competition that went on in those days.
Oh, yeah.
I sat in the middle, so I watched both sides.
Here, we got a mic coming your way.
I watched both sides. I watched the English side because I lived in England when I was working with them and when I started with Zeppelin. And then over here you watch the other side, how American bands, to me at the time, it was like Buffalo Springfield and Moby Grape and Zappa and bands like that were doing great here.
It's all the West Coast.
Yeah, it was. It was basically a lot of West Coast bands.
The East Coast was the Rascals and Malcolm.
Right, was mostly New York bands and bands like you guys and the Rascals and in England it was a whole different type of music scene.
When we started, it was just the blues. It was just black, you know.
Yeah, but we weren't doing that here because black music in the U.S. at that time was
nobody
kind
knew
of
that music. That's the weird thing.
Yeah.
Nobody knew those songs, and we were playing them to American people, and they thought we were great, you know.
Well, we had Pat Boone covering the hits of Little Richard over here. So.
Whole lot of love by Pat Boone.
So what's your favorite thing about the 60s and touring and rock and rolling? Is it seeing the crowd when you come out? Is it after the show? Is it meeting Mickey at the grocery store? What is and you can pass the mic down here. What do you guys like about the music performing today?
Well, besides for us, as the newer members of the band, I've been in the group for playing with Jim since almost 30 years now, but it's been an honor to do so. But it's always been in that sort of following on from the original thing, and it's an honor to be able to do so. So, and also to keep that music alive for the generation that listened to it originally and for future generations to be able to appreciate it, because all this music had an intrinsic quality to it that you guys picked up on, reinterpreted it. And I think the other thing, if I can just make a point about all the musicians from this era, maybe by comparison to some of today's ideology, is that I don't think any of these guys actually went in their bedrooms and said, I'm going to be famous one day. I'm going to be famous one of these days because I'm playing this guitar chop or I'm learning this drum lick. I think it was more for the pure satisfaction that they could do it and that they were going to be good at it. You know?
Was there in harmony now? Was there any like rebellion, like my parents want me to go get a job in an office and I really want to do, that was you, Jim?
Yeah, I was an only child. I lived just with my mum because my father died, and my mum didn't want me to give up my job because that was I worked to stockbrokers in the London Stock Exchange, you know, and but I was working every night with the band, and it was really difficult. I was going straight from the city out to the gig and sort of changing, you know, going in the lavatory and changing into my playing gear. And that was hard work, and eventually I had to convince my mum, and it was really difficult. And it was, as soon as I was on the TV, it was different. Oh, you're on the TV! I'll tell the neighbours!
That's great. Let's talk to you guys. First of all, I want to mention that the Yardbirds inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1992. What's it like for you guys on stage? We haven't heard from you guys. And performing.
Well, I'm a slightly bit younger than Jim, maybe the next generation coming up, but one of the main reasons I really play guitar the way I do was responsible because of the Yardbirds 65, 66 era. So, you know, growing up and being really influenced by the British invasion and the Beatles and the Yardbirds and the Kinks and Who and Stones and all that stuff, for me to be able to sit in that same chair with, you know, my heroes as guitar players coming up, like Jeff Beck and Eric Clapton, and Jimmy Page, and to be able to sit in that chair and play those songs with a great band and with the original person with that spirit is a big honor for me. It's a pretty heavy load, so it's something special. Would you say, Kenny?
Absolutely. I grew up in Brooklyn, and I had an older brother who was a musician, so.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. But I had an older brother who was a musician, so there was music in my house all the time. So I grew up with Elvis and doo-wop. But when the English invasion came, it was all over for me. It was Stones, Beatles, and Yardbirds. And I played Yardbirds records constantly. And arguably, it's the reason why I play bass, because of Paul Samuel Smith, the original bassist. And I have this picture that I posted on Facebook a while back. I'm about 14 years old. I'm in my bedroom in my parents' house, and I'm standing in front of the record player. And in front of me, just above me, is a shelf full of records, and the record on the end is